Imagine walking through a dense emerald canopy where the only sound is the crunch of leaves beneath your boots. For many, the forest is a sanctuary of peace, but for some, it becomes a theater of survival. Today, we are diving into a bone-chilling true story of a hiker who came face to face with the raw power of nature. Stay with us as we recount a journey that turned from a peaceful trek into a desperate fight for life against a wild predator in the deep woods. It started as a typical morning for Mark, an experienced hiker who loved the solitude of the mountain trails. He had packed his gear, checked his maps, and set out with a sense of excitement. The air was crisp, the sky was a brilliant blue, and the world felt perfect. He was miles away from civilization, seeking that rare silence that only the wilderness can provide. Little did he know, he wasn't as alone as he thought, and the silence was about to be broken. As Mark ventured deeper into the old-growth forest, the atmosphere began to shift. The wide trails narrowed into overgrown paths, and the towering pines seemed to lean in closer. He felt a strange prickle on the back of his neck, that instinctual feeling of being watched. He stopped several times to look back, seeing nothing but the swaying ferns and ancient trunks. He brushed it off as nerves, but his subconscious was already picking up on the subtle changes in the environment around him. The forest suddenly went deathly silent. The birds stopped singing, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. That's when Mark heard it, a heavy, rhythmic crunch of dry leaves about 30 feet to his left. It wasn't the light hop of a deer or the scurry of a squirrel. This was something large, something heavy, and it was moving with a terrifying deliberateness. He froze, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird, as he realized he was being hunted. Out of the shadows emerged the silhouette of a mountain lion, its tawny coat blending perfectly with the dried brush. Its golden eyes were locked onto Mark with an intensity that chilled his blood. It didn't growl, it just watched, low to the ground, its muscles coiled like a spring ready to snap. Mark knew the rules. Don't run, look big, and never take your eyes off the predator. But in that moment, the gap between knowledge and survival felt like an ocean. The standoff felt like an eternity. Mark slowly raised his arms, trying to appear larger than he was, and began to shout with a voice that cracked with adrenaline. The cat didn't flinch. Instead, it took a slow, calculated step forward, its tail twitching with predatory intent. Every fiber of Mark's being screamed at him to turn and run, but he knew that would trigger the chase instinct. He was locked in a psychological battle, where a single mistake would mean certain death. Then the predator lunged. It was a blur of fur and muscle. Mark barely had time to react as he swung his heavy backpack in front of him like a shield. The weight of the animal slammed into him, knocking him backward into the dirt. The air was filled with the sound of snapping branches and the terrifying snarls of the cat. He felt the sharp sting of claws tearing at his jacket, but the backpack had taken the brunt of the initial impact. The fight for survival had officially begun. Fighting for his life, Mark used everything he had. He kicked, punched, and used his water bottle to strike at the animal's sensitive nose and eyes. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, a primal roar that echoed through the trees. Surprised by the fierce resistance, the mountain lion momentarily retreated, hissing and baring its teeth. Mark didn't wait. He grabbed a heavy branch from the ground, keeping it between himself and the beast as he began to back away slowly toward a nearby rocky outcrop. He reached the rocks and managed to wedge himself into a narrow crevice where the animal couldn't easily reach him from behind. For hours he stayed there, clutching his branch, while the mountain lion prowled the perimeter, occasionally letting out a low, guttural growl. As the sun began to set, Mark knew he couldn't stay there forever. He checked his bag and found his emergency flare. With trembling hands, he ignited it. The brilliant red light and hissing smoke, finally scaring the predator back into the darkness. Mark hiked through the night, guided by his headlamp and fueled by pure adrenaline. When he finally reached the trailhead at dawn, he collapsed near his car, his body covered in scratches and his clothes in tatters. He was found by a park ranger an hour later, dehydrated and in shock, but alive. The physical wounds would heal, but the memory of those golden eyes in the dark would stay with him forever, a constant reminder of how thin the line is between us and the wild. Mark's story is a testament to the importance of preparation and the incredible strength of the human spirit. He survived because he didn't panic, because he knew how to react, and because he never gave up. Nature is beautiful, but it is also indifferent to our survival. When we step into the woods, we enter a world that operates by ancient rules. Respecting those rules and being ready for the unexpected is what separates a tragedy from a story of survival. Thank you for joining us for this incredible journey of survival. If this story moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and share your own wilderness experiences in the comments below. We love hearing your stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates and true stories from the edge of human experience. Stay safe out there and always respect the wild.